He was dead before the celebrations began. September 12, 2024, Zamfara State, Nigeria. After more than 2 years of hunting, Nigerian security forces finally caught up with a warlord his followers called the King of Kings. His name was Halilu Sububu, and he was killed in a gun battle that lasted hours. Soldiers received rewards. Officials declared a major victory. For a moment, it felt like something had actually changed. Then, within weeks, the violence got worse. His fighters didn't surrender. They fractured into rival factions. They fought one another over gold mines, kidnapping routes, and weapons networks. Because Sububu was never just a gang leader. He was a node in a system, and when the node died, the system simply rerouted. This is the story of that system. Who built it, who profits from it, and why, despite years of military operations, it keeps expanding. Begin with the money, because that is where every thread in this story leads. Between July 2024 and June 2025, Nigeria recorded 4,722 kidnapping victims across 99 separate incidents. Kidnappers demanded approximately 48 billion naira in ransom. They collected around 2.57 billion. That sounds like failure. It is not. The business model was never precision. It was volume. Entire villages surrounded, dozens taken at once. Most families cannot pay. Some hostages never return, but enough payments arrive, from land sold, savings emptied, communities pooling what they have, to make the operation highly profitable. This is not crime. This is an industry, and like any industry, it has infrastructure. Cash collected from kidnapping families moves through layers of handlers before reaching those in the forest. Motorcycles serve as final mile delivery. Couriers have been kidnapped themselves. Others have been killed after delivering payment. Some hostages were executed even after ransoms were paid. There were no rules, only whoever had the gun. But the ransom economy was just one revenue stream. Underneath it, literally underneath the soil of Zamfara State, was something bigger: gold. Armed groups discovered that taxing miners was more reliable than raiding villages, so they stopped attacking the mines. They started running them. Miners paid weekly fees for access to land in armed controlled territory. Local operators paid, foreign workers paid, middlemen paid. Everyone extracting value from the ground paid a share to whoever held the guns above it. Unlike ransom, which fluctuated case by case, gold produced consistent income, and consistent income changed everything.
To understand the scale of what that income built, you have to understand the structure. Security researchers estimate more than 100 armed groups operate simultaneously across northwestern Nigeria. Each is organized around a figure called a Kachala, commander, political authority, and chief executive all at once. Below him, a deputy, then enforcers, then fighters, many of them young men from communities shattered by years of violence. Men who joined because the armed economy offered income, status, and power the formal economy never did. By 2021, Zamfara State alone was estimated to contain roughly 30,000 fighters across more than 100 camps. There is no supreme commander, no central headquarters. When a large operation requires it, multiple Kachalas combine forces, then return to separate territories. A franchise more than an army. Independent operators inside a shared criminal ecosystem. And like any franchise, it needed supply chains. October 2011, Libya collapses. Gaddafi is killed, and what follows is one of the largest uncontrolled weapons flows in modern African history. Millions of rounds of ammunition, rocket-propelled grenades, anti-aircraft systems. Stockpiles accumulated for decades, suddenly loose. They didn't stay in Libya. Through ancient desert smuggling corridors, weapons moved south, through Niger, through Agadez, a Sahel transit hub for centuries, and then toward Nigeria's northern frontier. Gold moved north, weapons came south. Gold could cross borders quietly, sold through informal markets, nearly impossible to trace. Arms traffickers across the Sahel accepted it as currency, and the forests of Zamfara became better armed every year. By July 2021, the scale of that armament became impossible to ignore. A Nigerian Air Force Alpha jet, returning from an operation near the Zamfara-Kaduna axis, came under fire. It was hit. It crashed. Bandits had shot down a military aircraft. What had been described as a criminal problem had just demonstrated insurgency-level capability, and intelligence reports suggested certain commanders were actively seeking surface-to-air missiles. Groups that once stole cattle were now exploring military technologies designed to threaten aircraft.
Here is what makes this story different from ordinary crime: taxation. Across bandit-controlled regions, entire communities have reported paying levies to armed groups, not just ransom, but regular, periodic payments for the right to exist in their own villages. Farmers have paid for access to their own land. Markets have operated under unofficial taxation enforced by gunmen. Disputes over land and livestock have been settled before bandit representatives, not government officials. Where the Nigerian state retreated, the armed groups moved in, and they didn't just fill the vacuum, they institutionalized it. This is shadow governance, and it explains why killing commanders rarely ends the conflict. The system they built continues without them. When Dogon Gide, a warlord who rose by ambushing and killing his own superior in 2018, inheriting entire territories, was reportedly killed in 2021, analysts continued documenting his network's activity for years afterward. The man died, the organization did not. Now, a new variable has entered the system: Lakurawa. In communities along Nigeria's border with Niger, residents desperate for protection from bandit raids arranged for outside fighters to come in. The newcomers were effective. The raids declined. They did not leave. They built courts, imposed rules, collected taxes, recruited followers. Unlike the Kachalas, businessmen who wanted revenue, Lakurawa sought something different: authority, territory, ideological control. History across the Sahel has shown what happens when criminal economies and extremist movements find each other. One side provides money, the other provides ideology. Together, they create something neither could sustain alone. That convergence has not fully arrived in northwestern Nigeria, but it is approaching. Back to Zamfara, back to the King of Kings. Halilu Sububu is dead. The celebration was genuine. The military operation was real, and the kidnappings continued. Because the question was never whether one man could be found and killed. The question is whether the system that made him necessary to so many people can be dismantled. Gold still leaves Zamfara through routes nobody officially acknowledges. Weapons still arrive through corridors nobody fully monitors. Communities still pay taxes to men the government has designated terrorists. And somewhere between the forest where the hostages are held and the international markets where the gold is sold, people with clean hands are counting money. The fighters are the visible part of this crisis. The cartel behind them has never answered for anything. Not yet.